Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is set to end the sequel trilogy and the Skywalker saga itself by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, what's really exciting about Episode 9 is that we do know that this film is going to offer many different revelations as well as saga-wide implications in the Skywalker saga that's really going to change how we view the past 8 Star Wars films and some of the characters that come along with it all. Now, on top of all of this, we do know that Abrams is really trying to make The Rise of Skywalker the best film of the sequel trilogy and really detaching itself from The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens and really focusing and really pouring his heart and soul into Episode 9 to really make it an authentic Star Wars film. Now, on top of all of this, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this movie, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very exciting for Episode 9. Now, specifically, what's really intriguing about all of this is that a description of Kylo Ren and his Knights of Ren traveling to an abandoned Imperial base, where it's explained that they are in search of secrets that Palpatine kept hidden away for many years inside of his vault in the Outer Rim. It's explained that eventually Kylo makes his way into Palpatine's vault, where one of the sequences is said to involve a hologram in the background of a third Death Star prototype that was planned to be developed as a backup by Palpatine after the Death Star 2's complete construction. It's said that Palpatine had planned for the Death Star 3 to be developed as a failsafe if somehow the Rebellion or any other kind of organization would be able to wipe out the second Death Star, and that Palpatine had planned to build this in the unknown regions sometime before his death. It's described that though everything for the Death Star 3 was planned out as a major project and that the designs were finalized, it never made it to production since Palpatine's demise. However, the plans do remain in the archives of the Empire that Kylo discovers in the Imperial base and in Palpatine's vault, where it said that part of the third Death Star, however, were developed, and that the technology for the third Death Star was used for the First Order Annihilators, which are said to hold Death Star technology that can wipe the surface of a planet in segments. It's described that the actual Death Star 3 was planned to be even smaller than the second Death Star, however deadlier as it held more kyber crystals that would power its weapon and focus, and even had a propulsion system in the back of the weapon. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, what's really intriguing about all of this is that we do know that in Legends, I believe it might have been for one of the Star Tours rides, or maybe even one of the arcade games, I can't quite remember, but there was an actual Legends version of the Death Star 3. Very unknown, mind you, but it is out there. And the fact that J.J. Abrams is trying to really give us a little nod to all of that in, of course, The Rise of Skywalker is very intriguing. Now, the fact that he's doing this in a more realistic manner where Palpatine actually had plans made out for a third Death Star to be used as a failsafe because of what happened to both the Death Star 1 and the Death Star 2 at the time, Palpatine must have really been pretty much on edge of that happening again, so he wanted to create a failsafe eventually over in the unknown region. Now, what I like so much about this is that, yes, there's not going to be a Death Star 3 as a main super weapon, by the way, in The Rise of Skywalker, let's just make that clear. But this big Easter egg of Kylo Ren discovering a large hologram in the background of Palpatine's plans of a third Death Star and how the technology was already made and how that's actually applied to the First Order in order to develop the First Order Annihilators. So the actual super weapons in this film hold Death Star 3 technology. Now, what I like so much about this is that this is basically giving us a different type of super weapon that is also staying somewhat true to the third Death Star. Now, I know a lot of fans out there would not like to see another Death Star on the big screen in a Star Wars movie, and that's perfectly acceptable, right? Because we already got something like that in The Force Awakens, let's not deny that. But this is just a little Easter egg. This is a beautiful Easter egg in the form of a hologram that Kylo Ren comes across in Palpatine's vault, where he had plans stored away many decades ago, where he was eventually going to develop a third Death Star if he had lived on and was not killed by Darth Vader on board of the second Death Star. So this was actually said to be used as a failsafe. Very interesting. I really like the mindset of Palpatine here, because his mindset must have been, well, the Rebellion destroyed the first one, let's develop a third one in secret, and use the second one as a way of diversion, right? Just making them think that that's the actual thing that they're focusing on mainly. Meanwhile, Palpatine was was already planning for a third one to actually be put into development once the second was complete, and that was actually to be developed over in the unknown regions. That's what I love about this, is that they are changing the events of history a little bit here and there, giving us more facts about Palpatine and exactly what's going to happen in The Rise of Skywalker, and how J.J. Abrams and George, they're really trying to give us a different experience with Episode 9 for this movie, which really is very ambitious and goal-driven of these guys. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.